amazing day. Pam Bondi is finally getting up off her seat and doing something about all the lawfare against Trump. Trump put out the message last week, said, Pam Bondi, get on it. And she's finally doing something. Criminal indictments are coming for Democrats that used lawfare against Trump, guys. And Trump's not backing down. He is 100%. We have to do this. The statute of limitations is almost run out in just a couple of days. Get this done. And it just shows you, guys, we're going to hold people accountable one way or another. And not only that, Trump has a backbone of steel and is not going to cave to the Democrats' slush funds, all their pork trying to fill this continuing resolution, waste more taxpayer dollars. And he said, let me know your thoughts on this, guys, in the chat. Let the government shut down. The economy is booming, guys. There was another revision to the Q2 GDP for the United States. Remember, it was at 3%. They revised it to 3.3. And now it's been revised again this morning to 3.8%. Almost 4% GDP, baby. Trump knows what he's doing, babe. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, because this is exciting. We are finally seeing action from Pam Bondi and the DOJ. President Trump is laying down the hammer on these people to hold them accountable. Letitia James, James Comey, and others before the statute of limitations runs out. There is a massive, just Democrats are afraid like never before because being criminally charged by a grand jury 99% of the time leads to criminal arrest and being fined and going to jail. That's how serious it is, guys. When they know it's coming, you know that they're scared. They're afraid. They use lawfare against them. Even Letitia James, who campaigned on going after him, are going to actually see justice. This is massive news. It's what we've been waiting for to see the arrest. We've also, guys, are just days away from the government shutting down. Trump is not backing down whatsoever. Politico was reporting that the White House has instructed federal agencies to prepare mass firing plans in the event of a government shutdown. This is limiting the size of government, being able to reduce the size of government, because guess what? We just can't afford it. And whenever you say, oh, we're just going to keep borrowing, inflation goes up, you keep wanting to give it to other countries. Trump is trying to fix the root of the problem when it comes to the government. It's too dang big. We have lying Chuck Schumer, who says that he's not radical at all with his demands to shut down the government, or else, if the Republicans want his support, all you have to do is just give health care for illegals, put back on the table gender-affirming care so that minors can go and get changes to their bodies, lifelong changes, dealing with Medicaid, taking off the able-bodied people, saying that, oh, if you're able-bodied, you know what, you can't sit at home and you can't collect all this free health care and Medicaid. And allowing more, this is one of his stipulations. Schumer wants more people to come through the border. And then he says, oh, and we do want you to pull back on all the colleges of men playing in women's sports, all those stipulations. We want those gone too. So you tell me this. Trump is either going to cave and allow Chuck Schumer to have everything that we've been wanting removed for a long time back again, or backbone of steel, America First policies, MAGA policies, and do what we voted for Trump and his team to do. We don't want to keep paying for all this stuff. And it is just, I love it. Every single point, guys, we're just hitting 1-2 punch against the Democrats. Listen to this. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon is now pushing to the Supreme Court to abolish all race-based Voting Rights Act districts, which were drawn to favor Democrats based on skin color. Because remember, 90% of black people vote for Democrats. I think it's like 60% of Hispanics vote for Democrats. If SCOTUS overturns them, Democrats are going to have a huge, massive loss, losing many districts, because all these districts were created based upon race and based to favor Democrats. Guys, we are hitting them from every single angle to get the red wave, put America first, do what needs to be done, and hold people accountable. This is literally what we voted for. And I'm like, this breaking news is coming in today. I am super excited about it. I know you are too. Want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers and viewers. Y'all are the best. Thank you so much to everybody that is a member of the channel. We are so grateful that we get to serve you every day with the top news. And we just want to say thank you to everybody from the bottom of our hearts. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family, hitting that subscribe button so that we can take care of you every day with the top news. And want to say thank you to all of our members and subscribers and those that give us super chat. Want to give some special love to Tracy DeCambre, Lynn Defoe. Thank you so much, Lynn Defoe, for your support. Bill Tracy Sr., thank you so much, Bill. And our boy Jim Barbato, OG of the channel. Show them some love in the chat. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button. The Democrats have lost it. What you're about to see, guys, is again, the more that we expose how broken their ideologies are, the rhetoric is, and what's happening, we are going to see a red wave like never before. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Listen to this.
Language from it's a problem for both sides.
God, this is so powerful. You cannot, this is how powerful Trump is right now when it comes to him just speaking the truth. You cannot make this up. Trump's having a meeting today and tells the Turkish president Erdogan to his face, stop buying Russian oil. Why do the people who continue to say we have to support Ukraine, we have to give them money, United States, please giving Ukraine money and missiles and firearms and whatnot. Oh, but we're going to keep funding Russia by buying their oil. This is literally the stuff that Biden would never do, of calling people out to their face. He said, I'd like to have them stop buying any oil from Russia while Russia continues this rampage against Ukraine. This is what a true leader of the United States operates. If you appreciate this, we appreciate you so much. If you don't mind helping us grow our voice, hitting the thumbs up like button, this does make such a huge difference. I also want to show you this, that we did get some update. Trump says that we're going to be taking some money from all the tariff revenue and distribute to the farmers until the tariffs kick in to their benefit. I love this. Again, we need to be self-sustainable here in the United States when it comes to our oil, when it comes to our food, when it comes to our technology. Food, technology, oil. Make sure that we're self-sustainable in those three, and we will win massively. Listen to this, because I'm telling you, big stuff is coming.
But I got to start off, Julie, because you followed her ratings closely. Ashley Parker, how can a young woman who's so smart be so dumb? What? Comey had no impact on the MAGA voters. January 6th, other things that Comey did for his entire time, built up the entire FBI apparatus that did Russiagate, that came after President Trump, and put in all the agents and all the field offices that Chris Wray, use in that mentality, that politicized mentality against MAGA. Was January 6th, the abortion clinics, the Catholic Church, all of it was all Comey had built in there. Comey totally went after the MAGA movement. Right? Totally went after the MAGA movement, and he lied and lied and lied and lied about Russiagate, and that's what they're getting him for. Julie Kelly, your thoughts. Ashley Parker, good Lord, ma'am. Your thoughts, ma'am.
He did. I mean, this is the problem that Cash and Dan are facing at the FBI. You have this megalomaniac, Jim Comey, who did infect the entire Bureau with that sort of approach, with his deception, with his abusing power to go after political enemies, starting with Donald Trump. And yes, this manifested in not just the January 6th persecution, raids across the country, armed raids with little mini Jim Comeys beating down the doors of American citizens and arresting them on, nonviolent misdemeanors or bogus felony charges. But then, of course, his buddies still being in office and then pursuing President Trump in 2 federal criminal indictments that were brought by Special Counsel Jack Smith, who, of course, was in the Obama DOJ. At the same time, James Comey was there as well.
So, Julie, you've covered this better than anybody. The statute of limitations, I think the 5 years does run out, I think in 10 days or sometime midweek next week. What exactly is going on here? What is this potential indictment coming against James Comey?
So, Steve, it appears that this will be either contempt of Congress or perjury, lying to Congress related to his September 30th, 2020 testimony before the Senate committee that was investigating the origins of Crossfire Hurricane. And it appears that this will address Jim Comey's testimony and his story, let's say, that he did not leak those memos that he was taking in real time after meetings with the president. So as you recall, the president met with Jim Comey privately, I think 6 or 7 times. Jim Comey, then head of the FBI, would go right into his SUV, get his laptop, and take notes, recalling the subject, the topic of that conversation. And it appears that this specific memo that he took, and then he stored those memos at his home. I believe 4 of the 7 that he took, he stored at home. Then he leaked at least one of them. He says to his friend, Daniel Richman, who I think was a professor at Columbia, and then instructed Richman to leak this particular memo to the New York Times. What was this memo about? It was about the conversation, February 14th, 2017, about the Flynn investigation and the president allegedly telling Jim Comey, I hope you'll go easy on Mike Flynn, or something to the effect of those words, according to Jim Comey. So it looks like, and Daniel Richman was subpoenaed earlier this month. It is reported that he met with prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia last week. So did that story fall apart? Because Jim Comey has always insisted that he did not disclose those records, those memos directly to the media.
Let me tell you this. If we do not go after these people, these bad actors, these people that are leaking, all that, this is how important it gets to hold people accountable. So this is some updated news on what's going on with the Dallas ICE gunman's handwritten note threatening real terror that the FBI has revealed. This is why it's so important. They found out that he conducted multiple searches of ballistics and the Charlie Kirk shot video. He also searched apps that track the presence of ICE agents. So when these people are coming out and they're trying to protect, whether they're mayors or governors and all them, to me, this is where we have to hold them to the highest level with the most legal action we can against them, because this is what is happening. People are using these apps. People are 100% lost their lives, getting hurt because of the left-wing rhetoric, calling these people Nazis, calling them Gestapo, calling them slave patrol. This is what the left is continuing to fuel, and people are sick of it because it is 100% coming from one side. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and that's why, again, it's so important that we have to hold these people accountable. We have to make sure that we see arrest, people go to jail, because if they don't, nobody's ever going to trust the government again. It's going to get even worse. Listen to this.
Just pulled up his transcript from that September 2020 testimony before the Senate. He said he never shared those memos with anyone except for Daniel Richman. Was that a lie? Also, kind of sketchy report we got from DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz in 2019 that said, oh yeah, Jim Comey really shouldn't have kept those notes. He shouldn't have taken them. He certainly shouldn't have kept them. They did contain sensitive investigative information. Oh, but they weren't classified until later. So it was okay, basically, if he shared those with someone else who then leaked it to the New York Times to try to destroy Mike Flynn.
Comey's slippery. What he did with the dossier, all of it. Hang on for 1 second, Julie. I know you're by phone. If you just hang on, we'll take a short break. First off, Comey, as you know, never should have gone out and taken notes about the meetings with the president, right? He was using that for blackmail, right? To basically use it against President Trump, right? And then be a coward about it. He had to use an intermediary, the professor at Columbia, to get it to the New York Times. These guys are very slippery. They're deep state. Mm-hmm. They're liars. They all should go to prison. And now's the time. Let's get on with it, okay? This is just the minor charge. This is just perjury or contempt of Congress. Contempt of Congress, gosh, let me think for a second. Anybody know? Oh, yeah, that's right. I went to prison for that. So did Peter Navarro. Comey, and this is, I'm glad we're getting under the wire. This is one of President Trump, I think, lit up Pam Bondi the other night to say, hey, look, let's get on with it. I think when somebody brought to his attention, the clock was ticking, and you had a criminal. Comey is a criminal. Should spend many, many, many decades in prison. We got to start somewhere. Let's start with lying to Congress and a contempt charge. We'll take it. Not the ultimate game, but we'll take it for a starter, for an appetizer, for just a taste. Short break. Julie Kelly, the one and only, on the other side.
Trump has said he's going to, or has, I don't know if he's
coming up on the statute of limitations. I think it's September 30th. The statute of limitations for most federal felonies, like perjury, obstruction of Congress, is, or it's actually obstruction of a congressional investigation, but obstruction of Congress for short, is 5 years. And so the grand jury would have to indict Comey by September 30th. And so that's what President Trump's new U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, according to these press reports, is going to do. And remember, with a grand jury indictment, you have to go to a grand jury of your peers. They look at the evidence and they determine whether there's probable cause to move forward with criminal charges. And so that's, according to the news reports, that's what's going to happen. Now you have these apparently 3 assistant U.S. attorneys in the Eastern District of Virginia, or wherever the hell they are, who are writing a memo saying that there's not evidence, and that they're, not only is that bad, they're leaking this memo to friendly reporters. And by doing that, they are clearly violating their attorney obligations, their obligations to their client confidentiality, the Department of Justice rules as it applies to attorneys, particularly federal prosecutors. It is highly inappropriate. It's illegal that these prosecutors are leaking this memo to their friends in the liberal media. And you have to ask, why are they doing this? They're doing this because they're trying to protect James Comey. They're trying to protect these lawfare Democrats.
And they're trying to protect their money, everybody. We are bringing so much breaking news, guys. All this stuff that's happening. And this is coming from the White House or Right Angle News Network, very reputable places. Look at this. This type of stuff is, and if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. This really does help out so much. LA Controller Kenneth Mejia is blowing the whistle, saying Democrats blocked him from auditing millions in missing homeless funds and is instead paying nearly $3 million to an outside firm with no audit expertise to hide the fraud. Whistleblowers coming out. This type of stuff, it's oh my goodness. It's always follow the money. People get desperate. People do stupid stuff when it comes to the money. And that's what we're witnessing. And thank God for these people that are brave enough to come out as whistleblowers to show how much corruptness there actually is. Fred Samuel, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go, said the left. Won't stop using rhetoric because they have nothing else other than Orange Man bad. Thank you so much, brother. They are 100% correct. Matthew Refrano, thank you so much, brother. Said, may God save us all. Jesus is king Amen. Show Matthew some love in the chat. And don't forget to show Fred some love, as well as Gina some love in the chat, everybody. Thank you so much for your support. This is big. And again, Trump made the call last week. He knows the statute of limitations is almost up, and he wants to hold these people accountable that use lawfare against him.
Like they've been trying to protect them for the last 8 years. And so that's for the grand jury to decide whether there is evidence that James Comey committed perjury and obstruction of a congressional investigation. I would also say this, that remember, in addition to perjury and an obstruction of a congressional investigation, there's also the charge of conspiracy. And the conspiracy is ongoing. When you cover up a conspiracy, you continue the conspiracy. So in order to stop a conspiracy,
we got to get this one down now, because you're going to get a this is low hanging fruit, and you've got the time's going to run out, right?
The statute of limitation. We are days away from a government shutdown. We are days away from the statute of limitations going out over this. And this is what I love, is that, again, we're getting more reports just in officials are making preparations for a potential government shutdown next week per Fox. This, to me, is I'm okay with this, because Trump already said we're going to take care of the military. We're going to take care of those on Social Security. But if we cannot limit the size of government, if we cannot reduce our bloated government and the cost that it is to the American taxpayer, we're going to forever be living in a huge swamp. And this is where, again, everybody's calling it out. JD Vance is calling it out. And this is probably one of the most fiery speeches I've ever heard from JD Vance over what's happened. But this, to me, is going to be our next president of the United States. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Vance 2028, baby.
North Carolina, where the vice president is speaking about violence. Let's listen in.
Enforcing our border. And I think that is the most disgusting thing. The very people who keep us safe ought to be honored and protected and praised by Democrats and Republicans alike. It is time to stop the rhetorical assault on law enforcement. Because here's what happens. Because here's what happens when Democrats like Gavin Newsom did say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence. You don't have to agree with my immigration policies. You don't have to agree with Donald Trump's immigration policies. But if your political rhetoric encourages violence against our law enforcement, you can go straight to hell, and you have no place in the political conversation of the United States of America.
Wow. I feel like he's a younger, and I feel like he does speak more eloquently than Trump does, but with the same passion and fire. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Just yesterday, NBC News, maybe the worst of all the fake news, and I'm sure we have an NBC reporter out there. It's a tough competition, my friends, to be clear. But maybe the worst, I said maybe the worst, is NBC News. And they said that immigration enforcement, you know what they said? That immigration enforcement had detained a 5-year-old autistic girl in order to get to that girl's father. Turned out that story was a complete fabrication. It was a complete dishonest lie. But when you go around and lie about our law enforcement and you tell them that they're mistreating 5-year-old girls, what do you think is going to happen? When Democratic politicians incur doxing, when they encourage us to unmask ICE enforcement officers, what do you think is going to happen? When the mayor of Los Angeles encourages violent protesters to get in the face of our law enforcement, what do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen is political violence, and political violence has gotten out of control in this country. We got to stop it. We got to condemn it. And that starts, unfortunately, at the very top of the Democratic Democratic Party. If you want to stop political violence, stop attacking our law enforcement as the Gestapo. If you want to stop political violence, stop telling your supporters that everybody who disagrees with you is a Nazi. If you want to stop political violence, look in the mirror. That's the way that we stop political violence in this country, and we've got to do it.
I love it.
And while we're all mourning and rooting for and praying for everybody who was injured at that ICE facility, and as far as we know, it looks like some of the detainees, in other words, some of the potential illegal aliens, were some of those who were affected. Look, just because we don't support illegal aliens, we don't want them to be executed by violent assassins engaged in political violence either. So we're praying both for our ICE agents, but also for everybody who's affected by this terrible attack. But that was an ICE facility. And as these guys behind me know, and a few of our police officers know, police officers writ large face too many threats of violence all across the United States of America. And we know where it started. We all remember the summer of 2020 when all of these violent protesters were encouraged to treat police as the enemy instead of as the solution. You'd take 1,000 police officers, you'd find one person who didn't do something perfect and use that one guy to tarnish the other 999 police officers. Well, I would like everybody, whether a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent, especially those in political leadership, can we all just agree that our police officers are heroes, that they are public servants, and that the first and most important step of keeping all of us safe is to keep our police officers safe, because they are the thin blue line between civilization and chaos.
Let's go. Guys, I'm telling you, that's president right there. That's big stuff. New update, President Trump has confirmed that he will not cave to Democrat demands of $1 trillion. Taxpayer funds for transgender child surgeries and illegal alien health care to avert a government shutdown. That's what I'm talking about, baby. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. I love it. I love that we are finally seeing so much strength coming from the White House, from the GOP, to not cave in to all the pork, all the fat, all the wasteful spending. Look at this. Trump posted the Democrats want illegal aliens, many of them violent criminals, to receive free health care. The Democrats want $500 million to help radical left news outlets. The Democrats want to leave dead people on Medicaid and Social Security rolls so that criminals can continue to be allowed to receive the payment and steal their money. The Democrats want to cut billions of dollars from our once vulnerable rural hospitals, where we fixed by giving them the largest cash infusion ever. The Democrats want men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, open borders, or perhaps most importantly, all of a 5-letter word, crime. And so many other things that will destroy America. We cannot let this happen. And what I love is that he is standing up to them. We're not going to let it happen. We're going to continue fighting. And that's what we voted for. And what we, again, the people that are rising up, listen to this. We have to call it all out, everybody. And I love showing you people that are MAGA, that are putting America first and fighting for what's right. Y'all show Jim Barbado, OG of the channel, some love in the chat, everybody. Show Jim some love. We thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you so much. OG of the channel. Show John Reppy. Guys, John Reppy's been a member of the channel for a whole year. I love it. OG2. Show John some love in the chat. Listen to this.
You know, something else we're not going to tolerate is crime. On August 11th, President Trump announced major steps to address the out-of-control crime in the district. Thank God, because this is my 5th year in Congress, and living in D.C. and working here has been a nightmare. It is. The crime is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And let's talk about some of that. Since President Trump thankfully brought in the National Guard, carjackings have decreased by 87%. Nearly 1,200 people have been arrested, including known members of MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Those are both foreign terrorist organizations. By the way, many of them came across the border while Democrats controlled this country in the past 4 years. Federal law enforcement seized nearly 120 firearms and busted a drug trafficking ring attempting to smuggle fentanyl, PCP, and cocaine into D.C. A joint effort by ICE and MPD arrested an illegal alien previously charged with sex crimes against a child. D.C. went 12 days without a single homicide. Can you imagine that that's something that the National Guard had to be here to do? It's unbelievable to anybody that is right-minded. U.S. Attorney Shapiro reported that 88% of arrests made between the start of the federal deployment on August 11th and August 25th resulted in charges being filed. This is substantially higher than in 2024, where the Biden-appointed U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves charged suspects only 57% of the time. That's because he was busy chasing down MAGA grandmas that went into the Capitol.
Wow.
So I've got a simple question for you. Mayor Bowser, do you prioritize criminals or the victims?
Ho, ho, ho.
I prioritize law-abiding D.C. residents, visitors, and workers.
So that would be law-abiding citizens and victims. Do you support the police, Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson, do you prioritize criminals or victims of criminals?
I believe in swift and certain justice. And
No,
if
I asked you
somebody has committed
either
a
one. Victims of criminals, of crime, or the criminals themselves. Which one do you prioritize?
As I understand the question, victims.
Victims. Do you support the police, Mr. Mendelson?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Schwab, I'll ask you the same questions.
Unfortunately, hurt people. So sometimes victims are victims one day and
So
are
you
perpetrators
prioritize the
next day.
criminals, is that what you're saying, over victims of crime?
I prioritize making up my city as safe as it can possibly
I'll take
be.
that as criminals. Do you support police, Mr. Schwab?
Of course, we work very closely with MPD every day.
Mr. Jackson, the same questions for you.
Wow.
Definitely prioritize victims, and I stand with the 24 states that are suing the Trump administration for withholding $1 billion in victim service funds.
So you're against cleaning up crime in D.C. Thank you for that. I've got an article here. The D.C. Police Union head is the biggest cheerleader of Trump's D.C. police takeover. So the police here in the district support the efforts and the help from the president. However, I've got a quote here from Mr. Mendelson. You call the union celebrating Trump's takeover just despicable. You literally attacked the police in your statements. You're calling
That's not correct.
The union supporting the president and the National Guard here, helping them every day on the streets. You're quoted as saying that's just despicable.
You know what I love is that when we show you these videos and we call them out and we expose all this, it's one step closer to common sense, one step closer to a red wave. And I'm not talking Republican or GOP, I'm talking MAGA. And if I haven't said this before, guys, I don't really like the Republican Party, the old one. I don't really like the Democratic Party. I feel like they're all corrupt. When Trump came in, he was so anti-establishment, so different, and they hated it because, remember, the deep state is real, and MAGA is America first. Is that hard? Is that so hard for people to want who are citizens of the United States of America? And when I see this, and I want to expose everybody, whether you're Republican or Democrat, if you're doing wrong, I think that if you are an elected official, you shouldn't be getting paid. There should be some other benefits, whether they do no taxes or something like that. You don't pay taxes for a certain number of years. Because to me, when you get in there and they get in and they make all this money, it all leads to corruption. And there's something big happening right now. And I wanted to show you this. Came out this morning. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth calls a rare, urgent meeting of hundreds of generals and admirals summoned to the Pentagon. What is going on? Is Russia about to take their next step? What's happening with China? Like, this just tells you that when you gather this many people in an urgent meeting, either we're going to do something internally or it's going to be externally. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I haven't seen anything more about this, but this is trending and it's pretty big. John Reppy, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Said, love JD Vance. Hey, put it in the chat. Vance 2028, baby. I love it. Show John Reppy some love in the chat, everybody.
Taking that out of context, I criticized the president of the FOP because he is a liar.
Oh, so you are against the police. Thank you for clearing that up.
No.
Also, I have
President
one
of the FOP.
last thing,
The
Mr.
president
Chairman.
of the FOP, not the police.
I reclaim my time. Lastly here, Mr.
Lady's time's
Mendelson.
expired.
You...
Lady's time's expired.
Guys, I'm telling you, we're about to get into some real stuff. And I do have some good news, because this came out yesterday. When Charlie Kirk was alive, they had 3,100 chapters. His goal by the time that he got done with it was to have over 20,000 chapters. They literally have had over 120,000 plus requests. And isn't this beautiful? It is. I love it. And it's something that just shows you we're gonna continue his legacy through the chapters, through channels like this one, for America First, doing what's right. And what I love is as we continue to expose the corruption, we're gonna continue to grow what's right. George Masalis, thank you so much, brother, for the super chat. Let's go. Said it's jail time for James and Letitia. I'm ready. If they broke the law, if they use their positions, broke the law, they're literally, like, it is their job for all these like legality things that they were dealing with, and mortgage fraud and all this. They need to be held accountable. You show George some love in the chat. Listen to this.
Welcome back. The DOJ seeking to indict former FBI Director Jim Comey for perjury. The probe into Comey centers on whether he lied to Congress during his hearing on September 30th, 2020, and leaked Russia collusion to the press. Watch.
Mr. McCabe, who works for you, has publicly and repeatedly stated that he leaked information to the Wall Street Journal and that you were directly aware of it and that you directly authorized it.
I can only speak to my testimony. I stand by what the testimony you summarized that I gave in May of 2017.
So your testimony is you've never authorized anyone to leak?
I'm not going to characterize Andy's testimony, but mine is the same today.
President Trump fired Comey in 2017. The Russia investigation then was moved to special counsel Robert Mueller, who found no criminal conspiracy between Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia, because there was none. A Virginia grand jury is expected to release a decision in the coming days as this 5-year deadline to bring charges against Comey approaches this Tuesday. That is the statute of limitations. The latest development coming just days after President Trump called on Attorney General Pam Bondi to move forward with charges against Comey, Senator Adam Schiff, and New York Attorney General Letitia James. The president wrote on Truth Social, appearing to be a note to Pam Bondi. I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying essentially same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey?
This is big.
Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia, they're all guilty. Joining me now is Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, what are your thoughts on this? Obviously, there have been attacks against this president now for a decade going.
And Maria, the American people really want to get to the bottom of this. If people did things wrong, they want them to be held to account.
Yes.
And what we see with James Comey.
And the big thing is people know that there's a two-tiered justice system. They do. It's like you can't gaslight about that. And I just seeing this, it just reaffirms that we can actually trust the justice system. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for your support. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting the thumbs up, like button. Thank you so much, everybody, for your kindness and support of our channel.
Is he has tried to say, well, this is what I said. He doesn't want to talk about what he knew or what he did, but it appears that there is a cover-up that several of them were involved in, And what we want to see is a justice for President Donald Trump and those held to account for what they have done to him.
Well, I mean, you lived it as well. You watched how they came up with all of these fantastic, you know, fantasies about Trump colluding with Russia, and then leaked it to the press so that the press would take it and it would go viral, which is exactly what happened. Half the country may still have questions about whether or not there was collusion. So is the issue here just perjury, or is there other criminality?
That is something we will know when we hear what the grand jury has to say. But Maria, bear in mind, the American people watched this play out. They heard what President Trump had to say. They saw how DOJ was weaponized, how it was used against him, how other federal agencies were brought to bear against him, his family, people that supported him, people that were involved in the campaign, the amount of surveillance that was done, and what the American people have realized. Things that President Trump said were happening to him were actually taking place. Now, those that did this need to be held responsible, and it is important that this go to the grand jury and that they send something back. I hope they send it back today. And I think it would be appropriate to see an indictment, but we will see what the grand jury has to say today.
All right, we will wait for that.
And this is big. I want to show you this because the Justice Department seeks to indict former FBI Director James Comey for lying to Congress. Remember, when a grand jury opens the door in a indictment, it's very general. It's very broad. We've showed you this on the channel that they look at everything. Bank records, look at text messages, videos, emails, very broad. And when they go in looking for one thing, they most of the time end up finding 2, 3, 4 other things. And that's why this is important. Because if there's smoke, there's fire. If these people use lawfare against Trump, and they lied when it came to the Russia collusion, the FBI lied when it came to the Hunter Biden laptop, they lied when it came to just everything, Steele dossier, all this stuff. This is where accountability has to happen. And I feel like I'm a 75-25 right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That everything will actually push through. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Lay Lewis, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go, said, like my daddy says, us MAGA Trumpaholics need to speak softly and carry a big stick. We are fighting for our way of life. It's awful that I had to put up a security system in my house because of this mess. 100%. Show Lay some love in the chat, OG of the channel. We are living in a different America because of this, and I showed this earlier, but when it gets to the point where people are outwardly speaking that they want to harm people in a massive, massive way, that's when you know things have gone too far. Just like right here, that this person has been arrested and charged for allegedly making social media threats against a vigil for Charlie Kirk, where he suggested that he planned to use his truck to disrupt the vigil. We get to this point, you can't negotiate. We need to just press forward, do what is right, and hold people accountable. And again, this is like, I want to show you, because when we look at what are the demands, we're about to hit into a shutdown. Tell me, do you support a shutdown or not? In the chat, in the comments. Because Trump says we're going to shut it down. They're either going to agree with us, we're not going to cave to their $1 trillion request. Listen to where Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, where he is, what is it called? The hill, where he's putting his flag in the hill to his, I'm not going to say that, where this is his last stand. This is what he is truly fighting for.
Is demanding what he's calling an ironclad health care agreement. Tensions, of course, escalating ahead of this Tuesday deadline when we could see a potential shutdown midnight, Tuesday, September 30th. The White House Budget Office sent a memo to federal agencies Wednesday night telling them to prepare layoff plans in an event of a shutdown. So what are you expecting?
My hope is the Democrats come to the table. This is a clean CR. Now, Maria, what they are trying to do is to take those enhanced Obamacare subsidies that were put in place in 2020, were set to expire in 22. The Inflation Reduction Act extended them to 2025, and now the Democrats want to make this permanent. So they're wanting to continue enhanced subsidies. So, no, this is a cost of $350 billion. The document that we're talking about passing, the continuing resolution, is a 6-week document so that we can finish the appropriations process and get ourselves off of a Biden budget and onto a Trump budget that a Republican House and Senate have passed Republican-led appropriations bills. This is what the American people voted for. They did not vote for continuing Biden policies. They want to see Trump policies.
That's so true.
They want us on that budget, and hopefully we will get them to realize it's a clean CR. They need to do that.
So remember, like she just said, 6 weeks, they're trying to continue it. There's 12 appropriations bills that the House is trying to pass, because remember, the House holds the purse of the government. The 12 appropriations bills are agriculture, rural development, commerce, justice, science, defense, energy and water, financial services, homeland security, interior, labor, health, legislative branch, military constructions, the VA, state and foreign operations, and transportation, housing, and urban development. So that right now, everything and how we're spending is how the Biden administration had it. Mike Johnson and his team, been trying to redo them so that it's less spending and it's more in line where the money should go to for where Trump and the administration wants it to go. So the only reason they're doing a 6-week continuing resolution is so they can finish out where the redoing all the spending bill for the appropriations bills, and then it will be how Trump wants it done for the spending. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you appreciate this. We're trying to give you all the details. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor, hitting the thumbs up like button. Thank you so much, everybody. Y'all are the best. Listen to this.
Hold on, Senator, because we've got breaking news on the economy, because all of this is connected. Let's get to Cheryl with the breaking data right now, hitting the tape.
Well, listen to second quarter GDP, Maria, a gain of 3.8%. This is much higher than the second read of the second quarter for GDP of 3.3%. It's now 3.8%, and this is the final read for the second quarter. A strong economy, consumer spending, strong. Yes, imports decreased, and that certainly affected the number, but again, a much better than expected, and this is a bit of a surprise for the markets. Claims better than expected for jobless, 218,000. We were looking for 235. Continuing jobless claims, 1.926 million. This is a good story for the employment picture. Durable goods, get this, month over month up 2.9%. That expectation was for a loss of 0.4%. That's very strong. Strip out transports, you got a gain of 0.4%, Maria. But that GDP number, it's very rare to see that, but it was a good number.
Actual number, 3.8%, much better than the 3.3% estimate, and you've got markets trading lower. Mark Tepper, is this a reaction to strong backdrop and a suggestion that maybe the Fed is not going to be aggressive? Is that why stocks are trading lower right now?
I would have to assume that that's the reason. You know, we're at a point where, investors may be looking at good news as actually being bad news for the market. I don't think that's the case. Yes, jobless claims were low, but we're not adding enough jobs to keep up with population growth. The rates still have to come down so that capital is more affordable, businesses can then hire, they can execute on their growth plans, and consumers can do what they need to do as well.
And we just heard from Kevin Hassett, who was very positive about the macro story longer term. I'm with Senator Marsha Blackburn. And Senator, I'm wondering if you have a government shutdown, does that cut into the very strong backdrop that we're seeing as a result of President Trump's policies?
And President Trump has been right on what his policies would do. So has Secretary Bessent. If the Democrats want to shut down government, if Chuck Schumer wants to shut it down, then they're the obstacle here. But Maria, they are so anti-Republican control of the House, the Senate, and President Trump's plans. Who knows what they are going to do? But I would remind my Democrat colleagues, the American people overwhelmingly voted for what President Trump was bringing to the table. What you are seeing in the numbers bear out that his plan is working. It is right. We also know that the Fed did a little cut. They have mentioned that there would be more cuts to come. It is important to get this economy back on track. It is important that we deal with the tariffs and the trade. You see this GDP number that is stronger than expected. I think it indicates things are working as we had anticipated and planned for them to work.
All right.
Let's go, baby. And again, I want to show you this because this stuff coming out with Comey and them actually being held accountable, this is some of the best news that we've been able to report just because we're holding people accountable. And again, this right here, I cannot wait to be able to report on this. Over half a dozen U.S. attorneys have been ordered to draft up plans on investigating an organization funded by George Soros. Go after the money. Find the money. This is how we get and root out all the corruption. Let me know your thoughts, because I'm telling you, the more and more that we can dig into this, fight this at the root level, that's how we get it out. And I'm telling you, I would bet loads of money that there is some form, fashion, NGOs money that have gone through, taxpayers that have paid off, congressmen, senators, whoever, for nefarious reasons. Listen to this.
People what that is. That was likely leaked to MSDNC. He knows that it would be about false statements because we know the people that the House Oversight Committee have interviewed. The grand jury meets tomorrow. It would either be tomorrow or Tuesday if, in fact, an indictment came, in all likelihood, maybe Friday. And that the statute of limitations, as Kevin said, are up. So you're very familiar with this process. Let's get into it.
Right. So first of all, I'm also very familiar with James Comey because I worked under him when he was the FBI director. And I can tell you that in talking to current and former FBI special agents, this is something that those at the FBI want to see more than anybody, frankly, unless you were one of what they call Comey's homies, which there were individuals at the FBI, Sean, that actually adored Comey. They had mugs and they said literally Comey's homies on them and T-shirts and all these things.
Wow.
Look, that's ridiculous. Everybody else at the FBI knows that James Comey is the one that really brought down the entire FBI, which it has never recovered from. You know, when someone receives a target letter, they're basically being put on notice. You're being looked at. They haven't actually been charged. And so what I think should happen, in my opinion, is that if James Comey lied under oath, Title 18 United States Code, Section 1621 is perjury, lying to Congress under oath. That is a federal violation. Or Title 18 U.S. Code 1001, making a false statement made to a federal officer or to a body, which could include Congress, making a material and made knowingly a false statement. He could also be charged with that. And so I think that we all have heard over and over, no one is above the law. And you know what, James Comey? You're not above the law either. The statute of limitation is expiring, and let's see what DOJ does with this.
Boom, baby.
I want to get your thoughts on this, Greg Jarrett, from a legal standpoint. And of course, you did 2 #1 best-selling books on this. But I would add to that, would FISA abuse be a part of it? Because he signed, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 of the 4 FISA warrants, ruined Carter Page's life, backdoor into Trump his campaign transition team and presidency. And they knew, if my memory serves me well, correct me again if I'm wrong, in December, when they said bye-bye to Christopher Steele, that in fact that dossier was BS, and did he legally have an obligation to go back to the court? Tell us what you think about that part of the legal aspect as well.
And I want to show you this first too, everybody, because I'm telling you, you cannot. The amount of evil that is happening right now, it breaks my heart. It truly does. That we're finding out more and more that these anti-ICE rioters, things like this, and I'm saying this because it all ties in together. If people feel like they can get away with crimes, they're going to. If people don't get arrested and there's a two-tier level justice system, they're going to continue to do what they've always done. The deep state is real. And whatever's happening, look at this. This is going back to the ICE shooter that happened yesterday. The alleged shooter's own bullet said anti-ICE. Detainees were caught in the crossfire. Reports investigators found a handwritten note from the said shooter said, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror. This is just mind-blowing. This is terrorism. He should be charged with terrorism. Because this right here, when people are just trying to do their job, this was all created by the Biden administration, and I want to see somebody from the dang Biden administration get arrested for this. Because they're the ones that let in all these people. We're just dealing with the aftermath, and then now people are losing their lives. It is sickening.
Well, it should have been brought a long time ago, and unless you weave it into an ongoing conspiracy, the statute of limitations on the FISA lies by Comey and others has expired. You know, Hillary invented the Russia hoax, Sean, but it was Comey that drove the narrative to falsely incriminate Trump, knowing full well it was all a lie. And frankly, there were so many acts of corruption and deceptions and misfeasance. You need an elaborate flowchart to keep track of it all. But, you know, these reports indicate that this particular case focuses on whether Comey leaked highly classified information to a non-FBI friend who passed it on to the media. And when questioned by Congress, Comey allegedly lied about it repeatedly. And indeed, on more than one other occasion, he denied that he had ever been an anonymous source. But the evidence belies that claim. In fact, his own deputy director, Andrew McCabe, implicated Comey as complicit in leaks of sensitive information. Other top officials at the FBI confirmed Comey was a prodigious leaker, often to improve his image and smear Trump. Whether a grand jury will indict, we'll have to wait and see. There's certainly been disagreement in the U.S. Attorney's Office. Reportedly, some prosecutors don't think they can prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. It's a very high standard. But, you know, even if perjury or obstruction is not brought against Comey, he's not in the clear. The FBI director said he discovered burn bags, other hidden documents squirreled away in the building during Comey's tenure involving the Russia hoax. I mean, that could also be fresh evidence of wrongdoing in a conspiracy case. We just don't know at this point.
I'm telling you, we're going to be on this so much. I want to see people be held accountable. We've also got this big news of Trump not backing down with the whole government shutdown. Everybody, this is big, big stuff. This could be the first time in a long time that we had the GOP actually have a backbone against the Democrats and not allow so much wasteful spending. I am so ready for this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind doing us a huge favor, hitting the thumbs up like button. And if you're not a part of the family yet, please consider joining our family, hitting that subscribe button so we can take care of you every single day with the top news. Remember, our family is growing. Our voice is growing. We're carrying on the mantle of Charlie Kirk. Lots of things are going on, and we're here to bring you the news every single day. I want to give some special love to our members of the channel. Without you, we wouldn't be able to give as much as we give. And remember, on the 22nd of every single month, we donate to a local charity. And this last month, we've given the most we have this year to a local children's home. And I just love it because we are truly changing lives, and it means so much to me. And I want to give some special love to those that have given today. Jim Barbato, OG of the channel. Thank you so much, brother. Gina, thank you so much, member of the channel, for your support. Show Gina some love in the chat, everybody. Andy, thank you so much, brother. Fred Samuel, Matthew Refrano, Jim Barbato again, thank you so much, brother. John Reppy, show John some love in the chat, everybody. George Masalis, Lay Lewis, y'all show Lay Lewis some love in the chat. Thank y'all so much for liking our videos, sharing our videos on X, on Facebook. Like I said, we're going to make sure to bring the receipts, show you what's really going on. We bring news from everywhere because it matters. It matters having context, and it matters to hear what's actually going on. We love you all so much. Appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.